to the Check Swing podcast. We are back for yet another win Thursday night. Excuse me. Um, a little bit later than normal, but that happens. Life happens. We're not yet getting paid for this, so sometimes we got to change some things up. Let me adjust my camera just a little bit as to not show all the junk in my background. And we are back, like I said, and here I am with the star of the show, Coach Santa. What's going on, Coach?
What's up, man? How art thou?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain. It's I thought, crazy thing is I thought it was Friday like all day. All day
Yeah.
I'm like, it's
And
Friday, cool, weekend coming up, put my feet up, whatever, whatever. And then you text me, it was like, yeah, I updated the notes. And then my mind suddenly shot to like it's Tuesday. I was like, whoa, he's updating the notes pretty early this week. Cool. And then I was like, oh,
it's
today's
today.
Thursday. The show is today.
Well, don't feel bad. My coworker thought it was Wednesday, today, and she's like, "Oh, we're gonna be doing stuff tomorrow, Thursday." I was like, "Today's Thursday."
It's today has such a Friday feel to it. It just, I don't know why, but it did. It just had a Friday feel to it. But welcome nonetheless to the Check Swing podcast. And we got some things to talk about today. We're going to talk about a little bit of Eagles talk. We're going to have some fun with that. The Phillies, excuse me, Phillies on their way to on the well, they're in a playoff run right now. They're in a playoff race, trying to get that wild card because first place in the NL East. That just ain't gonna happen. Uh, Especially if the Mets keep whooping you the way they are. But we're going to have some fun. And of course, as usual, Miguel is going to stump me with a jersey number that I have no idea who it is. And we're going to have some fun with it. So, with all that being said, and without further ado, let's get all into it, man. Let's start off with the Phillies and their playoff run. Oh, and Bryce Harper's coming back too. Bryce Harper last night, at the time of us recording this, Bryce Harper had a walk off base hit last night. I think it was a double. I think it was a walk off double, but it really didn't matter because the winning run scored. Um, and is that a big deal? Like I saw it right, and I'm like, all right, he got a walk off hit in AAA. Baseball is baseball. Of course, every level has their talent. We know Bryce Harper is a major league MVP. But is that a big deal, Miguel? Like, is it a big deal that he was able to get a walk off in a AAA in a rehab start in a rehab spot? Is that a big deal to you?
It's a huge deal. Not just because he got that, because that wasn't the only hit he got. Remember, first at bat in rehab, he launched it over the right field wall. So that kind of shows, all right, he's squaring up really well. The thing I really liked about that game-winning hit, it was opposite field, right off the opposite end of the plate. He took the ball where it was pitched,
Mhm.
and it was on the line drive. So he's hitting bombs. You know what I mean? And they showed highlights of him hitting in batting practice last week, and they weren't like I mean, you heard the ball echo throughout the empty. I mean, granted, it was empty stadium, and then you heard it echo when it hit the seats, and it's definitely going to be needed as we get into the final stretch, the final couple weeks of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been missing his bat, but for the entire season, they've been missing a lot of people's bats at different points of the season. Kyle Schwarber has been a bright spot for the Phillies this season. Um, I actually got a text before we started the show that Kyle Schwarber destroyed a ball, and I didn't see it yet. Did you? Well, you may not have saw it because you're no longer in the viewing area, but you might have seen the highlights of it. Did you happen to see it?
I'm gonna look it up now.
Kyle
Simultaneous.
Schwarber, and we know Kyle Schwarber was in the home run derby. Lost to Albert Pujols. No, no shame there. Albert Pujols is, Albert Pujols. But the Phillies, back to the Phillies in their playoff run. Bryce Harper coming back. Um, Bryce Harper coming back in, I think they said Monday, Sunday or Monday
Well,
this week.
they actually said today he may be activated by tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yep. And
That good? Huh?
and there's also concerning news that came out about an hour ago.
Uh-oh. What is it? 'Cause
The Phillies have placed Zach Wheeler on IL for forearm tendonitis.
oh my god, forearm tendonitis, huh? I don't wonder what that feels like because I've had tendonitis in the ankle and the knee, but those are near joints. So tendonitis in the forearm, I guess that's like you grip the ball and it just immediately probably hurts, right?
Pretty much. I've had tendonitis in my wrist.
Hmm.
Um and I remember having to wear a splint or like a those arm casts that have like the little single splint here.
Yeah.
And I remember the only thing that resolved it was I actually had to get an injection of cortisone. I had a cortisone shot right here. It was the weirdest thing and the most painful thing for about 9 seconds. But by the time I walked out of the office, I was like, all right, I'm ready to throw my curveball.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually very concerning because he's obviously the ace of the team. He's been their best pitcher. He's been a bright spot from their pitching staff all season long, even though he hasn't always gotten the run support. It's very strange that in this new millennium, the ace pitchers have not been able to get run support from the team, and that's very concerning. That actually is part of the reason that the Phillies lost the World Series in 2009 to the Yankees because they were not able to get run support, and they had what they didn't have Holiday yet, but they had Cliff Lee, they had
Hamels.
Cole Hamels, and they just could not get those guys run support. But um, wow, that took a little bit of wind out of my sails just now that you told me that. I mean, I'm glad you said it, but breaking news kind of right here on the Check Swing podcast. Hit us up 669-275-0323 669-275-0323. We'll put you on the air if you have something that you want to talk about, something that you want to get off your chest, something that we can make for the good of the show. Now, I'm looking at the notes here, right? Joe
Ver-
Girardi. I'm looking at the notes that you put together because you are the man. Joe Girardi, former Philadelphia Phillies manager, joined a marquee sports network as a game analyst for the Chicago Cubs, one of his former teams. Big deal. He's still
no.
getting from the Phillies, ain't
No, yeah, well, still, yeah, because he got fired. There were, I've read reports that he's probably not going to get a managing offer for a while, and some have actually said that because of his managerial experience in Philadelphia, he may have been exposed as kind of like a fraudulent manager.
he?
Not to say that he can't manage, but it's kind of like when he was in New York, even when he won the World Series, he kind of inherited Joe Torre's team, kind of sort of
Yes.
with the
Oh, absolutely.
and then I think he had Hideki Matsui and a couple other players. I was out to this day. I'm still surprised that he wasn't fired from New York, but he wasn't re-signed. And I only say that because even though they won the World Series in '09 and they kind of been floating for 7 8 years in between, when he was not renewed of his contract, I believe it was 17 or 18, they had gotten to the ALCS, so they had progressed better each year.
Mhm.
um it was just weird that I just thought it was weird that they didn't resign him, and I thought it was a godsend that he fell in the Phillies lap. But then come to find out that there's reports that the Phillies were the only team that made him an offer, and it was the only team that he interviewed with. So you
Well,
know
great talent will cover up bad coaching in some instances. It really will. I mean, I always refer to basketball. You look at, and I'm not calling the coaches bad, but you look at the teams LeBron James played for with the coaches that they had, which I mean, I think in three instances they had coaches. He had coaches that no one had even ever heard of, and they were in the playoffs, deep in the playoffs, or even in the finals. So talent can talent can overshadow bad coaching, and Joe Girardi, as we know, made some questionable decisions here in Philadelphia, and he made some questionable decisions off the heels of another manager that made questionable decisions. And I think the city was just exhausted by that. I don't think they really could handle that anymore.
You don't think we could handle that many questionable decisions?
I know I was sick of it. Like I
Well,
was sick of watching the game.
and I think too, people kind of jumped on the well. Look at what Gabe Kapler did in San Francisco, and I think it was one of those cases where he caught lightning in a bottle
Absolutely
because now it's like, all right, well, what is he doing now in San Francisco?
right. Because earlier in the year, they were first place. They were first place team.
Hmm.
Now they are struggling to even get on the board in the wild card. So looking at that, I can't say I root for Gabe Kapler. I can't really say I root against Gabe Kapler. But I mean, he coaches the Giants, so I'm rooting against him. So I guess I just said it. Uh, um, Phillies 2023 schedule release. Interesting that it has changed in a way, and I saw that every team in the major leagues will play each other. And here we go. You have the schedule here, so I'll go ahead and put that up. You have the schedule there. So, um, looking at the schedule, they start off
They start off in
in
Texas
Texas and
and
then go
then
to New York.
go to New York.
Interesting. You start off really warm and then you're gonna go pretty cold. Um, then you got Cincinnati, the Marlins, Cincinnati again, White Sox, Colorado, Seattle. It's interesting the way they laid it out. It's almost like they're eliminating the whole American League, National League thing, and it's now really just everybody's playing. I mean, it's kind of shifted that way anyway with interleague play, but they don't even say interleague play anymore. They just kind of just say they're playing each other. Um, how do you like this? I like it. I really
Yeah,
do.
I think it's one of those things that's kind of wait and see for me. Because I think the one issue is that you actually have less division games now. And
Right. It went from 19 to 13, right?
right, and I think the idea is to kind of go the route of like the NFL where there's a lot of, and I hate to use the word, but it's commonly used in the NFL where there's a lot of parity.
Mm.
But I understand because then there was another thing that I read where now the Phillies won't be able, or now the division leaders won't be able to just beat up on like the Marlins and the Nationals who are struggling right now. So it kind of gives everybody, it's almost like parity, but it's almost like everybody's on the even playing field. So, even the worst team in the division, you can't go back and forth and, beat them up as you have in the past, so to speak. So, I,
I
I
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, no,
Finish.
no. I just, I gotta see how it rolls, and how if it grows on me.
Personally, I like it um, because I've always felt like playing your division 19 times in a season was kind of overkill. Like I got to be honest with you, I'm sick of seeing the Marlins so many times. I'm sick of seeing the Nationals so many times. Give me an opportunity to see some other players, some other stars, and I think that's kind of what interleague kind of brought to the table. Is you're getting to see players that you wouldn't normally see. Let me see a Shohei Ohtani. Let me see a Julio Rodriguez. I hope I said that name right. From Seattle. Let me see, different guys from different play. Like give me an opportunity to see that. And it's unfortunate, like when we grew up, that never happened.
I know.
We didn't get to see Cal Ripken unless we wanted to go to Baltimore or maybe they were playing New York and we went up there or something like that, which I didn't. We didn't get to see Ken Griffey Jr. until he went to the Cincinnati Reds, and that was the twilight of his career. We didn't get to see Raleigh Fingers necessarily. We didn't get to see Dave Stewart. Well, in the World Series, you did, but you understand what I'm saying. There were a lot of guys that we didn't get to see that now, with the way this is structured, you can possibly see, a star that you wouldn't normally see, if they're coming to your house this year. So I like it. I think it's good for baseball. I think it's good for selling tickets because you get more stars and a less of the your Mets Phillies games. If both teams are good, are always going to be packed. Your Braves games are always going to be packed. The Nationals games, they're not. If their Nationals aren't good, Phillies aren't good, they're not going to be packed. There's no
And,
star power there.
mhm.
So, I mean,
and
what's
it,
the name's going?
yeah, and it's funny it's funny you mentioned the Nationals. So in the month of July, actually July and August, I actually went to Camden Yards for the first time,
Mhm.
and it was a game against the Yankees, and it was just this. It was just like a Phillies Mets game. There was when
A
Garrett
lot of
Cole was the
interest.
starting
Right?
pitcher, he warmed up, he came out of center field, and then all you saw literally the stadium holds like what 45,000. There was literally I'd say 23,000 Yankees fans, and they all rose up and gave him a standing ovation. And thankfully, because I was there, the Orioles beat up on them 6-4. Then I went to the Nationals game against the Mets.
Mhm.
It was Jacob DeGrom's first game back from Tommy John. Exact same thing. Jacob DeGrom, you suck, you're a Met. And then, a lot of Mets fans. It was like, and this was the day after the Soto Bell trade. So I
Oh,
was like, man, we were like going back and forth in text, like, man, I hope they don't, I hope they, just hold on to one of them, and he traded both. And the Nationals wound up winning 6-1 with like
yeah.
three humongous bombs. We actually sat like first base side behind home plate with wonderful seats. Um, Two totally different atmospheres though, stadium wise. Like you got the tradition of the Camden Yards. I don't know if you've ever been.
I've been once. I went for a few years back. I want to say it might have been 2017, 2018, maybe.
Hmm.
It might have been longer than that. Um, and they were playing the Phillies, and the Phillies stunk, and the Orioles were good. I feel like the Orioles hit 72 home runs in that game. It was crazy. And let me tell you something. For the first time in my life, okay, and they were good about it. Like I didn't feel threatened or anything. But for the first time in my life, I was getting a business at an opposing team stadium. I was getting, well, I guess the business as far as Orioles fans are concerned. Like it wasn't like I was in Giant Stadium getting the business, but they were giving me the business a little bit, and
So
it was fun. I mean, it was all in good fun, but I was like, damn, this is
and it was yeah, and it's funny because I was kind of giving Yankees fans the business, and they were kind of giving it back. But when I went to the Nationals game, I was giving Mets fans the business because for whatever reason, every time I go to a Phillies Mets game or whatever, my entire row is filled with Mets fans. It doesn't matter what state or country I'm in. And I was kind of giving the business, and I got the elbow like, "Yo, we kind of don't do that here." I'm like, "Are you serious? Y'all lame ducks?"
really.
Yeah, they're like, But I kind of was just jabbing. But like, the Mets fans that were there were absolutely hot. They were so red. You know how like when you have the ham underneath the lamp too long?
Hmm.
That's how they were like pinkish, almost overcooked red. That's how pissed off these people were.
Wow, that's funny. That's
But
funny.
yeah,
I'm glad you got a chance to give the Mets the business. I hope you wore like a Phillies jersey just because.
I didn't. I thought about it, so I wore like my Rawlings prospect stuff though, just to because it's like I wasn't really there for the Nationals. I was there to hate on the Mets. I probably should have come in a Phillies jersey, and I think it would. And guess who? The starting shortstop. The starting third baseman was Michael Franco,
Cal Franco, yep.
and the second baseman was Cesar Hernandez.
Hernandez, yeah.
I
How
was
about
like,
that?
yeah, I'm like,
How
and
about that?
I think Hernandez got a double, and Franco struck out 3 times, so he was in rare Phillies form.
Yeah.
Phillies final 4-0. Aaron Nolan pitched a 5 hit, 101 pitch, 11K shutout,
Ye-
and that home run by Schwarber was
Uh,
451 feet to dead center. It hit the wall. You
Lord,
know the ivy. It hit the top of the wall.
good Lord. My cousin hit me. He was like, Kyle Schwarber just destroyed the ball. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't see it. I will see it. I will get an opportunity to see it. If you saw it, hit me up. Hit us up 669-275-0323. And if you're checking us right now, checking us out right now, make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're checking us out on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and hit that follow button on Twitch. You're watching, listening to the Check Swing podcast, Coach Santa and myself. Um, let's talk a little Aaron Judge, and this is a good picture you have up here. I like this picture. Uh, this funny, real quick. I'll make it real quick. This picture reminds me of a picture I took in college. Right, so I was probably the shortest male athlete at UMES at my time, at the time, right? And I took a picture with probably the tallest male athlete at Eastern Shore at the time, and I'm pretty sure he was 7 foot and maybe even taller. Okay, he was a big dude, man, Big J, cool guy, man. I hope he's doing well. But that's what this picture looks like right here. It looks like me and Big J, even though Big J was a lot bigger than Aaron Judge. But this is funny right here. But Aaron Judge didn't come to a contract agreement in the beginning of the year. They offered him some money. He turned it down. I guess he wanted more. But if things hold the way they are, he'll be entering free agency this winter. I almost said this summer, this winter. And should the Phillies pursue him? I mean, what do you? I mean, he's a right fielder, right? I guess you can play anywhere in the outfield. Not everybody can, but we have Bryce. Could we go after Aaron Judge, Miguel? Could we?
So we're already at um
The luxury tax.
the luxury tax. So it would be. I mean, the Yankees have done it in the past where they've gone like 10, 15, even 20 million over the luxury tax to try to get that World Series.
But they
You
made
know,
that a paraphernalia in the first month of the season. So
right? But I don't know if it would be. I would do it, but I think you'd have to trade one of the big three, and I
big
think
three being who,
Castellanos,
which they're not.
Schwarber, or Harper. I think you have. I think you'd
I
have
think
to.
it would be crazy to get rid of Schwarber right now. He's hot.
Right.
He's well, basically your only. Oh, he technically he was your only All Star. I mean, Bryce made it, but he was hurt. Um, Castellanos would be the only one, but that's because he struggled this year, and he's kind of coming back to form.
Yeah, he's on
So,
a 15-game hitting streak.
oh yeah, right, exactly. So it's kind of like, I mean, is it worth it? I mean, that price tag is going to be pretty heavy, and
Well,
we
if you
really feel like we need some pitching.
yeah, because money aside, where would he play? Right.
Right. I would probably put him in left. I don't think you could put him in. I mean, maybe you could put him in center, but
Well, when we
maybe
saw him
Grace over.
when we saw him against the Orioles, he actually did play center field.
Okay.
Um, I mean, he's like above average to above average speed, but I
Mhm.
mean, he's known for his gun. I mean, his gun is amazing.
I
His
don't know if it was you or maybe I sent it to you or maybe you sent it. The video of him throwing the ball from the right field
from
wall
rifle, yeah.
dot to
Hmm.
second base, which is not easy to do. Baseball players make the professional players make the game look so easy,
Yeah.
and that throw, wow! I mean, he threw it and it went to the point where the second baseman, all he had to do was catch it and leave his glove there for the tag. Amazing, amazing throws like that. I mean, I think of guys like Sheffield. I think of guys like Ichiro. I think of guys like what's my man name? One of my Vlad Senior.
Mhm.
You know, I think of guys like that that could really put the dot on the ball. Um, it- would he be worth it?
I mean, I think so. I believe so. I just think you have to trade away one of the big three and get some pitcher because I think and now if God forbid Wheeler is already on the IL and
Could be
he got
trouble.
off he got off kind of to he got off to a kind of slow start in the beginning of the season.
And in the beginning of the season, coming off an injury as well. If you
Well, coming
remember,
off an injury, but it was more an issue of not getting his reps because remember spring training was cut short because of the strike
correct, it
or
was.
the lockout, I should say. Um, but I think he would be worth it just because he's just like a the he's like an all worldly hitter. Um,
Is he 5'2"?
Four and a half. Again, his run, speed. He's not like a base stealer, but he plays his position well. And I know he's had a history of injuries, not as much as Stanton, but you know, I mean, at one point he was on pace to hit 80 home runs, so I think he's kind of slowed down a little bit. But um, I c- I can only imagine what kind of damage he could do at CBP. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a hitter's ballpark. You put him, you sandwich him in there between Bryce and Real Muto or something like that. Schwarber. I mean, maybe you have him hitting second. The Phillies really need a leadoff hitter too, but that's neither here nor there. He could do some damage. He can
Mhm.
definitely do some damage. I don't think we'll see him in the Phillies uniform. You want to know? I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. Keep it with the Yankees. I found out something last week that I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't know
Uh-oh.
about the Yankees, and it's actually about the uniforms. And I was talking to our resident Yankee fan, R. Dot. I didn't know that the Yankees stripes and the dark color. I didn't know it was. I never realized it was navy blue.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I always thought it was black.
I did growing up, but then I think I learned when I started following the Yankees in like '96 because I just wanted them to beat the Braves really bad, and
What?
I thought that up 2-0, dude, you outscored them. It was like what 25 to
Let's not.
3.
Let's not. Let's not. Let's not.
Too
Still
soon.
kind of hurts, but let's not.
Too soon. Too soon.
It's too soon. And Charlie
Uh,
Hayes made the third out with former Philly, and it hurt even more. But Braves and Phillies were not rivals back then. Braves were in the NFC in the oh my god, I got football in the brain. Braves were in the NL West.
Not in '96 because you remember they realigned
Yeah,
after the strike.
96 yeah, I know, but when I became a fan of the Braves.
Mhm.
Now, it's funny, local radio, I know you probably didn't hear it, but were talking about uh they were talking about liking guys on other teams, even like maybe liking a guy on the Mets or liking a guy on the Cowboys, even though you hate the team.
Mhm.
And they were talking about, how they talk about violations. Your opinion and your opinion only. Me liking the Braves in the early '90s is that a violation?
Absolutely.
Oh my god! Even though the Phillies and the Braves weren't rivals in the early '90s,
Absolutely.
I disagree.
And
I
every
dis-
every card it would be like me
you
getting a
scared me.
Rangers jersey.
I thought the computer froze, man. You scared me.
It would be like me as a Flyers fan going out and getting a Rangers jersey.
But they're rivals. Like if I like the Braves now,
Mhm.
violation. In '92,
I mean,
before
92. Okay, so maybe 91, 92. Yeah, I guess it probably would have been more of a sin if you were like a Pirates fan.
Yeah, no way,
Um,
no way. And they're not. They weren't in the same conference. No way. Like if I was like an Expos fan, I
yeah,
get
and
it.
yeah.
If I'm a Mets fan, I get it. But Braves had Crime Dog, they had David Justice, they had Terry Pendleton, they had Ron Nixon, Ron.
So when they did the realignment and the Braves moved to the
Otis
East,
Nixon. All right, so let me address that.
did you resign your Braves card? Because you can always kind of resign. Because you remember, I think I know where you're getting that idea from. But they also had the counter to that: anybody that wanted to come on the air and actually like resign or give up your
So I resigned my Braves card. I probably resigned my no, to answer your question. No, I didn't. I still liked the Braves because they still had the players that I liked. For a while, for basically most of the '90s, I think like I want to say probably like 98, 99, 2000 is you know what? I think it was probably like after they finally won the World Series, I was kind of okay, I'm good now. After they finally won one. Um so that was kind of like all right, now I can focus on the Phillies winning one now. I can put all my energy into the because after they won one, I wasn't necessarily interested in them anymore. And it's kind of like a pattern for me. Like once my team wins the championship, my interest level kind of dwindles just a little bit because once the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I used to watch every football game I possibly could. Once the Eagles won the Super Bowl, not so much. I watch every basketball game I probably can, but let's see what happens if the Sixers ever win one. While I'm old enough to really know. Once the Phillies won the World Series in '08, it was like, all right, I'm just watching the Phillies. I used to watch every baseball game. So yeah, the Atlanta Braves once they won that World Series, I was pretty much, that was it for me.
I
I'm
was don't
Hank.
I think when the Braves won that World Series, I was a little upset because I was really rooting for Cleveland because I just loved that team.
I like that team.
Bell Ramirez, like all I was like, oh my, that was my
Alomar was on
team,
that team. Tomei was on that team. That was a good
right?
team.
And I was upset because they just didn't hit in that World Series. I'm like, the bats just went silent.
Yeah.
But I had mad respect for Dave Justice because you remember what he did before the clinching game. He called out the fans. He got booed. Remember? So he called out the fans. I think in between Game 5 and Game 6, and called them fair weather fans because they all the he's like it's
Talking about
kind of
home fans.
the home
Or
fans.
oh,
And he came up to bat. And remember, in Game 6 of that World Series, he hit a home run, and it was the only run in that game.
hmm.
But he came out to booze, and then all of a sudden he hits the home run, and kind of shuts up the fan. And I respect that. I respect that about certain players that can say what they said like that and then go out and shut everybody up. That's why if I were ever to get a Yankees jersey, the only Yankees jersey I would ever get is a Reggie Jackson jersey.
Yeah. I,
Because
yeah,
he said and there's controversy over whether he made the statement, but he said I'm the straw that stirs the drink. And
I don't know what did he say?
he said I'm the straw that so there
Oh,
was
the
an
Charlotte Steelers.
straw
Okay.
stirs the drink. So but it was he still says to this day, well, the guy said it, and I said if that's the way you want to print it, then I'm fine with that. So there's like a story behind whether he actually said it or not. But he proved himself. You know what I mean? He, hit 3 home runs in a World Series in front of home crowd, and he's like, I'm the man, and let me show you why I'm the man. And he did it. You know what I mean?
He stepped up and earned his money, as they say. Stepped up and earned his money. I still take Barry Bonds in a clutch situation, but 3 home runs in the World Series is hard to argue against. You
Yeah.
know.
Which Barry Bonds never did.
No, he did. He only played in one World Series, so um, now I'm looking at notes because we're gonna talk about the Eagles in just a second. But I'm looking at notes that the Phillies are also moving most weeknight games, which the team classifies as games played Monday through Thursday to 6:40. I don't like that. I don't like the 6:40 start.
But here's the issue with baseball, and I know why they're doing it. They're trying to get the younger fans back. You can't get younger fans back when the games end at 11 and 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning on a school night. It doesn't make any. It never made sense to me. So if I want to go, if I'm a little guy, I'm in third grade on a Monday night. I got a test the next morning, but my dad got me tickets. Game starts at 7:30. Average game is what, 4 hours? That's 11 o'clock. That doesn't include the trip from where your seat is to the parking lot, and then the time you got to wait to get out of the parking lot, because you know how that stadium is. Getting on 95, Broad Street, whatever the case may be. So on a school night, I'm gonna be home at 1 o'clock in the morning. I got to turn around and then wake up at 5.
So
Never
you're
made sense.
talking you're talking like 2.5 months of the season.
Right. I mean, you could change the schedule. So do it in the early part of the season, April, May, June.
Mhm.
July and August, do your 7:30, and then September, October, bring it back to 6:45. I don't understand why you can't do that.
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. You put it that way. I'm okay with it during the school on school nights.
If you're really trying to get the young fans back, that's the way you got to do it.
I'm okay with that on school nights. Let's also remember, the kids kind of they have practice at like 6 a lot of times, so they're going to be missing the beginning of the game too.
True, but I think what they're targeting are like the real young kids that are like just kind of learning the game and trying to get them out. Um, I mean that I like it for that because I mean not for nothing, but prior to I'd say what the 70s, most games started at like 3 in the afternoon on a weekday.
Because a lot of places didn't have lights.
Correct. And the Cubs didn't have lights until like 1988, and they were able to surprise the average a million in attendance every year in spite of that.
I ain't gonna lie. I always liked the early playoff game. The
Yes.
4 o'clock playoff, like it was like as soon as you get home from school, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, here comes the playoff game. I always like that. They don't do that anymore.
Well,
Um,
they do it in the early rounds. They don't do it in like the champion
right, right.
you know the league championship in the World Series. They don't do, which I think they should bring back as well.
I always liked it. Baseball is a daytime game. It's a summertime game. I like it at night too. Don't get me wrong. I like playing under the lights is always special. Um, as we are under the lights here, as you can see. But yeah, there's a lot of things that, and I guess you kind of swayed me a little bit. I guess the younger fans. I mean, game starts at 6. It's probably 6:40. It's probably still not going into like 10 o'clock. So little Timmy in second grade, hopefully he's in bed by that time anyway.
10 is better than midnight in my humble opinion.
Yeah, but them games ain't ending that, man. I mean, you talking about West Coast games. I get it. Them games, usually the game is usually a 7 o'clock game. 7 o'clock start is usually done by usually at the latest 10:30. I give you that. Um, but if you look at the TV schedule, they always have their post game show scheduled for like 10 o'clock.
True.
Um, now let me ask you this. Well, no, it's actually no, this it's a mute point. But I was going to say, if they need to do that, does the NBA need to do the same thing? But
No,
they don't have a fan problem, so
right. And the other issue too is that with they have a clock.
right,
So
right.
it's so like I went to like I love going to Flyers games because Flyers games are really interactive, but they're short. I remember going to a Flyers game a couple years ago. It was a 1 o'clock start, and I was out of there by 2:45.
I would have felt slighted, honestly. Like, yo, y'all
It
need
was
to.
a,
This needs to
nope.
go a little longer.
It was a great game. It's like to me, it's like going to church. I don't think you should have church. I think there should be a law that church services should not go past 88 minutes and 12 seconds.
See now,
And I say that because I
right.
know I shouldn't do this, but I actually have timed it. We go to this church in Bowie, and the service is literally the longest service we ever sat through at that church was maybe 90 minutes.
It's not bad. I mean, my church growing up, I grew up in like two different churches in a sense, an Episcopal church and a Baptist church. The Episcopal church service was 90 minutes. Boom, bang, boom, bang, you're out. Baptist one, I'm not gonna get into detail, but we all know how that can get.
They're still the doors is they're still opening the doors of the church right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I was gonna
So
say, you was like 2.5 hours. You're out of that's like that's like a movie. Right? If I'm watching a movie for 2.5 hours, all right, I'm ready for it to be done. But if I'm like watching an exciting game for 2.5, no, I can use another half hour. I can use another hour of that of
I
just
think
action.
I think there was I forget where I read the stat because they were talking about an Eagles game that there was if you combine all the action together, the Eagles game would have been a total of like
I know.
50 minutes.
Yeah, like
But
all just the action, just
just the action, it was like 45, 50 minutes. And if you take away like the TV timeouts and the halftime and all that,
yeah, you're
that's
right.
where you get your extra time. So
You're absolutely right. Well, let's talk about the Eagles. As we said, we're going to talk about the Eagles today, and this is a fun conversation. Um, greatest disappointments of all time for the Eagles, and you have a list of people here. And if you want to add your own disappointments, you can call us at 669-275-0323. At 669, as you can see at the bottom of the screen for those that are watching. If you're listening, it might be too late. But if you're watching, 669-275-0323. If you're listening, you can still call and leave a message and let us know what you think. Greatest Eagles disappointments, the player. We're talking about the players, not necessarily like the fact that they lost 4 straight NFC championship games. Talking about players, individuals. Greatest disappointments. Now I'm going to read your list. Is that all right if I just read your list? What you have here?
I actually posted their pictures if you want to.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Well, we'll go
so
with this one first.
yeah, what spawned this kind of like for me today was reading up on Jalen Reagor, right? Because he has a lot of pressure on him, because he was drafted, when Justin Jefferson was available,
Mhm.
um, and he's had two very bad seasons, and it was like, wow, I felt bad for him. He looked like he should have been on suicide watch. So then it just got me to thinking, man, we had a lot of big expectations and big letdowns. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
think the
yeah.
Eagles more than any other team. But like the first person that came to mind, only because of I always remember hearing Merrill Reese call his name and always mispronouncing it. Because he's like, how about that? And if you want to put the picture up, how about that Nnamdi Asomugha?
Yeah, yeah. He always messed up his name. Um, so I think it might have been last week we mentioned Namdi, and I forgot what the podcast was, but Shady McCoy, LaShawn McCoy was on a podcast, and Shady was on the team when
That's right.
Namdi
This is what we're talking
signed.
about. Yeah.
And they said they saw something in like training camp, and they were like, "Oh, we're in trouble." Like they knew before everybody else knew. Oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah,
And
he's
Namdi lasted what, one season with the Eagles?
I believe too.
Was
Because
it two? I remember
he
they
was
got that guy from Seattle too. That's not on the list. I can't remember his name. He lasted like one season, I think. He was
oh yeah, I always remember the number 31, and he had a really bad perm. Um, but Namdi, he came from Oakland. He was an All Pro there, and I think he got exposed because I forget who he played alongside. There was another All Pro corner in Oakland that he was playing with.
it wasn't
So
Woodson, was it?
it might have been Woodson towards the end. It might have been, but it was another All Pro, and everybody was like, "Oh man, we got him," because I think we got him, We might have got Rogers Cromartie at the same time. So it was like, and I think he was part of that team that when Vince Young said we're part,
Yep,
this is the dream team,
yep, yep.
and that's when it was like, and I remember the story that McCoy was telling. He was saying that in practice, they were doing inside routes with like the tight ends and like the different wide receivers, and he got blown off the ball and he got beat, like outrun by Chad Lewis.
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
No,
Clay Harbor. It was Clay Harbor.
was it Harbor?
It was Clay Harbor because McCoy, I think,
It
said
wasn't Brent Selleck.
no. It was
I thought Clay Harbor's a little more recent. I thought it was Brent Selleck.
I think McCoy had said the one name, but the person that it actually was actually came out and said it was me. It was Clay Harbor.
Okay.
So and that makes it worse because I think he was the third tight end because I think that's when we had L.J. Smith and Chad Lewis.
Yeah. Nnamdi was definitely a disappointment. Came with some great expectations. Never lived up to those expectations while he was here. I've not seen him act. He's been in a couple films or whatever. So maybe he was just using football to get into his acting career. It's something that you don't really see a whole lot of guys going from the football field to the silver screen. But
Well,
go ahead.
no, I actually saw the movie that and I can't remember the name of the actress, but she's a well known
Tessa
actress.
Thompson. No, no,
Yes,
no. Is it Tessa Thompson?
yeah, because it was she was the one that did Creed.
Yes, 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 yes.
Um, but I actually, me and my wife watched that movie. I was like, oh, this is a lovey dovey. It was actually, I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty good for somebody to play the for somebody to play the fake saxophone like he did. He did a very good job. I'm just saying. But the premise was actually, it was a love story, but it wasn't like dorky or hokey. They hit on like a lot of topics from the time. So I was actually surprised, and actually he's co-starring in a Broadway show, and I can't remember the name of it, but
And I believe he's married to
Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington. Yeah, Kerry
So
Washington.
yeah, no wonder he retired.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know. Yeah, Nnamdi, he came with great expectations, didn't live up to it, didn't live up to the hype. So yeah, who you got next? Ricky Running Waters. Now that's interesting to me that you say he's was a disappointment. I mean, he wasn't as good as he was in San Francisco, but he also had a way better team around him in San Francisco.
He did.
So, Ricky, I thought Ricky was decent. The
Well,
whole for who for what thing kind of rubbed everyone the wrong way.
and I think that's the premise. Like even he comes back to Philly, it's for who for what. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think it was just that you get this guy, you sign him fresh off the Super Bowl, and for him to say that is like so anti Philadelphia that I think it was like, and they even had a good season. He ran for 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. That 95 year was like Ray Rhodes coming out party, and we
Mhm.
finally beat the Cowboys after like 10 years, and but it kind of fizzled after that. You know what I mean? So I think from the great expectation, and I think the Eagles too, because they didn't after Ricky Waters, they really didn't do much else. I think they were trying to build through the draft, and back then they just weren't great drafters. Um, but you didn't really get all the pieces. You kind of got enough, and I think that was one of the Lurie's first years as owner, so he had to make a big impact, and getting Ricky Waters helped. So, but
I thought he was a good addition. I mean, he wasn't, Ricky Waters did not become a Hall of Famer. You
hmm,
know, Coming out of San Francisco, you just thought he was destined for greatness. Didn't work out that way. But I thought he was decent. I wasn't really too disappointed.
I was
I
horribly.
just thought he would. I just thought he would be a little better than he was, but I wasn't really disappointed.
I was because
Okay.
every time I saw every time I here's who for who for what.
Yeah, I mean that rubbed, and I always remember when he got to, I forgot who they were playing, and he got tackled, and then like somebody came down with a knee to his helmet, and he got a concussion. and he had that like that spaced out look at the bottom of the pile. He had that spaced out look, and then he was never the same after that.
Yeah, I think he tried to play for Seattle one year and he was cooked.
Yeah, Ricky Ward. I wonder what he's up to. But who you got next? Now look, I just had this conversation today about To. I had a conversation today about To. And I want you to look very closely at the picture you have there. The microphone in the back on the left. I'm looking my left hand side screen left. You see that CN8 back there?
That's you.
No, that's not me, but I was working for them at the time. And I can remember like this happened in the middle of the day, and I can remember watching. We were watching the feed as it was coming in. Like, yo, this dude is in the middle at his house, outside his house doing sit ups. Like, yo, this boy crazy. But to me, To was not a disappointment. He was not a disappointment. He and I was actually having this conversation with R Dot today because of a conversation that was on First Take. To for the 1 year was probably the Eagles' best ever receiver. For the 1 year he was here. Um, if you want to talk about 10 years, of course you got to say Harold Carmichael. But for the 1 year, he was probably the Eagles' best ever receiver. For me, I mean, the way it ended was disappointing, but we've kind of come to find out that wasn't necessarily on him. That was more so on number five, who well you also have up there. So to me, I say To was not a disappointment. I say the ending was a disappointment, but he did not disappoint as a player the way Nnamdi did.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Yes, you're right. One of the greatest seasons ever, Super Bowl appearance. 12 screws in his ankle, stuff like that. And I get the whole issue with McNabb, but I think when you look at the quarterback wide receiver kind of relationship, whether it's Brady, Rogers, anybody like that, they have issues. They have fights, everything like that. My only issue with To was that he brought it all out and he made it kind of a spectacle. You know what I mean? And when you look
Yeah.
at everything, should the Eagles have paid him? I believe he should have, but it's the approach. You go and throw everybody under the bus, and then you're like, well, let's negotiate. It's like,
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't do that, right? You can't just throw everybody in the bus and expect to get paid more money.
right.
Because now it looks like all you got to do is talk about people, and then, like as an organization, you can't allow that to happen. However, all he really wanted was Donovan to have his back, and Donovan, let's be honest, should have had his back. Donovan probably had his greatest season as an Eagle
Mhm.
when To was there. Donovan does not become the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time if that one season with To doesn't happen.
Right, but even if you take away, but wait a minute, if you take away now, if To never was on that team, do they go to the Super Bowl?
No,
Probably not.
no.
But I don't know if that actually impacts Donovan's career as a whole because he was good.
He
He was
was very
great. He was great with To, but remember he had James Trash and Todd Stingston
good.
for you know God knows how long.
Yeah, Todd Pinkston a lot longer than James Thrash. Um, and when they bought To in, it put him over the top.
Mhm.
But the strength of that team prior to To getting there was the defense. The defense took people apart. I think that defense does not get enough credit for how good they were. They
Yeah,
could stop the run. They could stop the pass. They were very. That was a very good defense.
it was a very very good defense.
Very good defense. It was a Super Bowl defense. They did go to the Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl defense. Anyway, let's go to the next one. I don't even think about it. It got me thinking about that season again. But go ahead. Let's go to the next one. Mike Mamula. Funny story about Mike Mamula, real quick. My dad, when he was working one of his jobs, Mike Mamula came into one of his jobs, and I guess my dad was working with him, and he asked him, did he miss training camp? Now this was like 10 years ago, maybe less.
Mhm.
My dad asked him, "You missed training camp?" He said, Not the least bit." Yeah, I guess not, Mike. I guess not. Mike wasn't disappointed. He came in with a lot of expectations. He was a first round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken, out of Boston College, and big expectations from the linebacker position, and it just never panned out. And I believe he was a Ray Rhodes selection, right?
So he also has the honorary distinction of having the greatest combine statistics ever, which go proves to you, the quality, how reliable the combine is.
When
That-
we look at some of this stuff, like it kind of gives me clarity as to why we draft so bad now. Like we look at people now that have great combine statistics and they end up being like a pretty good player, or they have great college statistics, and we like he was a pretty good college player too, but he just never panned out.
or every 5 years, they wind up getting like a track star or like a Jeremy Bloom. Like who's the track star? Like, I mean, the guy looks like he's somewhat legit. I forget the guy's name.
Devin, isn't it Devin? I forgot his name, but
Yeah,
I was just talking about him a couple days ago, day before
yeah,
yesterday. I can't
because
remember.
that play was amazing. But I'm like, well, nobody was really covering him per se, so he just kind of outran everybody. But
Which
we
will be
always,
his job.
huh?
Which will be his job to outrun everybody.
Right, but then you have like what the fireman, that was an offensive lineman, Waken. Then you have
I never
uh,
understood that one.
the Australian rules football player. I mean, my Lada's going to work out because now he's our starting left tackle. But
I was really hoping Myalata was being drafted as a fullback. I would
yes, I said the
love to
same
see
thing.
him.
Give this man the rock, 6'8", 6'9".
But you know what? They would have just hit his knee. He wouldn't have. He'd probably be out the league now if he was a fullback. They would have just took his
Probably.
knees out because I don't think they do that in rugby. They don't take out the knees. Everything is above the waist.
Yeah.
At least it seems that way. But yeah, Mike Mueller. Yeah, Mike Mueller was disappointing, and he also when you talk about him, this guy's not on your list. It was John Harris.
John Harris was the number 3 pick. That was Ray Rhodes' first pick. This shows you how bad we draft. He was drafted so early. He didn't even show up to the draft because he wasn't expecting to go until like fifth or sixth round.
He was like just like a huge body, and yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, him. I think of. Oh, man, I can't. I lost my train of thought with who I was thinking. It was John Harris. Well, the guy they drafted out of Louisville a few years back that like never even made the roster. He was a first round draft pick. He was a linebacker or something like that. I can't even think of his name. Um, oh, there's another guy. I'll think of it. But who else you got on the list? That's not Nick Foles, y'all. That's Bobby Hoying,
Bobby Hoying.
another Ray Rhodes draftee, and he was Ray Rhodes, yeah, because he was
Out
supposed
of,
to
out
like
of
over after Rodney Pete, wasn't he?
after what? Yeah, he was Ohio State. He was big in Ohio State.
Yeah, Bobby Hoying, like his career ended so fast here. Like I really don't have much to say about him. Like he just never cracked. No, I can't even complete a sentence. That's how fast his career was here.
Yeah, he had 4 great games after Rodney Pete. Rodney Pete did something very unique. He's the only person I ever seen that tore his ACL stepping backwards and did it on national television. So it was a Monday night game, Eagles Cowboys, and I remember him dropping back and he planted his foot and he blew his leg up, tore
Was
his
it a
ACL.
home game?
Yeah,
Well, yeah. At Veteran Stadium, you
at
can do that.
Veteran Stadium. Yep.
You can sneeze wrong at Veteran Stadium and blow your knee out.
I remember I played CYO football, and we actually played a game against St. Helena's at the Vet. And I remember because I was the center, and there I think right around the 20-yard line going west. I remember lining up on the third base patch, and literally here's the rug, the carpet, and then the third base patch literally went up about 2 inches.
Wow.
So that was the divot. That's the divot that has torn many an ACL.
You remember that year Baltimore came up for a preseason game and
They had to
Brian
cancel.
Burke was like, "Nah, we're not playing on this."
But that was the first time they used a different turf. That's when they got rid of the carpet and tried to use like the thicker
Oh,
turf.
okay. And it
And they
was
said they
still
didn't lay
it was like a thing. You step on it would go down like that.
right. They said they didn't put the proper material underneath it to properly pad it. That's why they had to cancel.
Gotta love Philadelphia, baby. Gotta love Philadelphia. Bobby Hoying, yes, another disappointment. And you have another one up there. Oh, you don't.
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned him earlier, Jeremy Bloom. I'm sorry. But there, well, Jalen Reagor too. Jalen Reagor, and I feel bad for Jalen Reagor because Jalen Reagor was a decent college player, and he was just drafted too high. He was drafted in the wrong spot,
I
just
think
like
so.
Jalen Hurts was drafted in the wrong spot. And the expectation, I said it last week. I'll say it again. You know the talent that a guy has. Just because they get drafted earlier than they should have doesn't automatically mean that they're going to live up to that second round, first round talent that you're expecting. The talent is the talent. And if you move up to get a talent like that, you obviously did it for a reason. You did it for, you had a plan for it. And I don't think their plan was to have gotten rid of Carson Wentz. And so, it is what it is. But here you have the schedule, this year's Eagles schedule. We're going to have some fun doing some predictions here. Undefeated. Every year I got the Eagles going undefeated. uh,
So we always got to do so. There's always Eagles every year historically have always had two clunkers games
uh-huh.
that they should win, but they always lose.
I'm going to write down our predictions just so we can look at back at them later. I'm trying to find my pen though. I can't find my pen.
Here, I can jot it down.
You can pass me a pen. Oh, here's my pen. Here you go.
Yeah, there you go. Just pass it to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, I don't even know where I'm going to write this. Okay, can't start in the back, but we'll start the page. Here we go. All right. Eagles predictions, Check Swing podcast, Eagles predictions. All right. And unfortunately, I don't have the entire NFL schedule in front of me because that would help me make some predictions. But um,
Oh, to see who like they were playing the week before and
yeah, the whole gambler thing. Um, but week one, Philly at Detroit. Put Miguel's picks there, and then my picks there. Week one, Philly at Detroit. I'm pretty sure you have Philly winning that, right?
I got them losing.
Really, week one.
Yeah, just a hunch.
Okay, you got the Lions week one, and I kind of like feel
No,
like
I renege. No, no, no. They're gonna win that one.
okay, come on, I don't have but so much paper now. Here we go. All right, Eagles. All right, I kind of feel like it's like the Lions could end up being like one of them. Not that I have anything to back it up, but it could be like one of those sleeper teams early in the season where they just sneak up on people. Like the Eagles have high expectations, and the
Yeah,
Lions do not. And I feel like the Lions could sneak one away. Like this would probably be the week that it happens, and then everybody's like, "Oh, don't mess with the Lions," and then they lose the rest of them. However, I'm a homer. I'm biased. I'm going with the Eagles in week one.
yeah. I think I'll do it because I think the Lions are kind of in that position like the Falcons were last year, except they don't have a quarterback. Or I mean, Goff is a quarterback, but not a
They don't have much,
right. But
but how do you defend that? That's the thing. They can go anywhere with it. You just have to be able to defend everything. You
right.
don't double. You don't have someone to double. But week two, Philly. At home, home opener Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. What you got?
I got a loss.
You got the Vikings in that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Who you got?
I reluctantly also think the Vikings win that game. Unfortunately. Okay, week 3 at the Commanders. I'll go first with this one. I got this is really tough, to be honest with you. This is tough because I really think the Commanders are a decent team. They won the NFC East 2 years ago. They had a lot of injuries last year. Defensively, they're tough. Carson Wentz, we don't know what Carson Wentz is going to be there. Um, I think in Washington, I'm going to kick myself. I think I'm writing it down. I got the Commanders winning that game.
I do too.
Ooh. All right, week 4, Dougie P comes to town. I think the Jaguars are another one of those like early season sleepers, young talent. Don't know what they don't know. Got energy with Doug Peterson coming in, Super Bowl talent coming back home. They love Doug here. I'll let you go first with this one. Who you got in this one?
I got a dub.
You got the Eagles in this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to go with. I'm going to kick myself again. I'm going to go with a. I'm going to go with a loss in this one.
1-3 to start the season.
1-3 to start the season, which I don't like because then they're going to be, start calling for like Jalen Hurts' head, and I'm a Jalen fan. But yeah, I think 1-3 start the season, man. But there's more. Eagles at Cardinals, week 5. I got the Eagles winning. I got the Eagles bouncing back winning that one. What you got?
I got to win.
You got the Eagles winning.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's going to be studying, so just wanted to remind you. Week 6, Cowboys at Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles in that one. I think the Eagles pull that one off.
I think so too. I think October is where you're gonna start to see things start to gel together.
I believe so too. Week 7 is a bye. Week 8, they have the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to stink. I have the Eagles winning that one.
Yes, same here.
Okay. Spelled Eagles wrong. I'm not even going to tell you what I spelled because I can't tell. Week 9 against the Texans. Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
I'm going a loss.
Really? You got the Texans in that one?
In Houston, 4 weeks in a row. I think it might be a challenge to keep the momentum with this team because they're still fairly young. So I think that's where the next clunker will be.
What's 4 weeks in a row? What do you mean?
So I have 4 wins in a row from week 4
Okay.
all the way up to the Steelers. I think that Houston team. It's something about playing AFC teams back to back weeks. Sometimes we usually split.
I got the Eagles winning that one. Um, Hands down. Um, Week 10 in Philly, the Commanders and the Eagles. I got the Eagles winning that one. A little payback game. What you got?
Same. Conference games. I don't care how bad any team is in our division. They're always tough games, and a lot of times we split. So
Week 11 is going to be an interesting week. Eagles at the Colts. Nick Foles could be the quarterback. Could be Matt Ryan, which I have always said Matt Ryan is. Well, I think I said he's the second most overrated quarterback in the league behind Philip Rivers, but Philip Rivers is no longer in the league. So I got the Eagles winning in Indianapolis. Sorry, Ardot. I know that's your squad, but I got the Eagles winning that one.
yeah, and if I could put a score to that, it'd probably be like 42-10. It's that Matt Ryan over.
Can't trust him. Can't trust him.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be like a 4 pick game for him.
You got Sunday, November 27th, week 12. What time does that game start? I can't really see.
8:20. That's a Sunday night game.
Listen, Sunday night game under the lights. Eagles play the Packers well. They
They
really do.
do.
They play the Packers well. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Eagles win that game too.
You know
Which
what? I'm gonna go L only because they win against to the Commanders, and then they win in Indianapolis, and then they travel back. I think that might be a clunker.
all right, there you go. Week 13, Titans come to town. You know, what's my man's name? AJ Brown. His team is coming to town. I'm sure he was going to want to show out and have a good time in that one. Who? What say you in that one?
I got it a loss. I think he's gonna pull a hammy.
You got the Eagles losing in that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to say the Eagles lose that one. I'm looking at the rest of the season. I'm like, I got to find a loss in there somewhere, right? Um,
Oh, there's a couple.
well, I'm talking about for the rest of the season
Yeah.
after this.
There's a
I'm
couple.
going with the. Can the Eagles stop the run? If Henry gets loose, it's a problem. If he gets into the second, it's a problem.
I don't
Um,
think I don't think it's not the running game that's ever been an issue again. Like I mean, we won the Super Bowl and gave it what 920
we get
thousand yards,
so many yards in that game,
but
but I got
I'm
the
more.
Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles in that one.
Yeah,
Week 14, Giants. It's at the Giants. What you got?
win.
One for the Eagles. I'm going to go with win with the Eagles. I got them winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got them winning 9 straight so far. Week 15. Week 15. Chicago at Chicago. It's a is that a Sunday game or Saturday? I
Sunday
can't.
game. It's a Sunday game,
Okay.
but keep depending on how both teams because usually the last 2 months of the season is when they start
Yeah,
flexing games.
I don't
So
think Chicago's going to be that good. But it's in Chicago. It's a Sunday. It's in November. It's going to be cold. Give me the Eagles in that one. That's 10 straight. I'm like the worst at trying to pick these. What you got in that one?
I gotta win.
Got to win. Okay. Week 16 in Dallas. Is that in Dallas? Yeah,
That's
in
in
Dallas.
Dallas, Christmas Eve.
That's actually one I got the Cowboys winning.
I do too, only because of this. Again, because of the split.
Right. That's probably why. Week 17 at the Saint or against the Saints in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts got his first win as a starter against the Saints last year. Or was that 2 years ago? Whatever the case may be. What you got in this one? I don't know what the Saints are going to be. I think they don't have Sean Payton anymore. They got the Honey Badger. They're going to have Jameis Winston back. Um, I'm going to go with. It's a tough one in Philly. Alvin Kamara. Oh, is he? No, I'm gonna go with the Eagles in this one.
Yeah, I got a W there too.
And week 18, Giants come to town. If you look at my schedule, there ain't gonna be any starters playing in this
I
game.
know. I know.
Yeah, I got them. Let me see. So I'm gonna say the Giants win this one because the Eagles will not be playing starters in that game. What do you say?
I gotta win because I have all these other losses.
So you got to even it out. So you have the Eagles as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have them as an 11 win team. 11 and what? How many games is it? 11-5, right?
No, 11 and
11 and
7.
6. 11-6. That would be no. Yeah, that's 17 games. 11-6.
6.
I have the Eagles winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
You got them winning like
Well,
13 in a row
I
after.
got them winning 12 games, so 12-5. 12-5. Which I think can, I know it's kind of crazy. I got them winning like 90 in a row, but I got them at 12-5. You got them 11-6. So we're fans. We're a little biased. Um, so that's what it is. Let us know. Hit us up on social media. Let us know what your picks are for the Eagles season. Where do you have their record? What do you have them doing this year? And right now, it's that time of the show where Miguel stumps me, and he just got some jersey numbers up there. This looks like football.
Correct.
9, 9, 9, 9, 16, 16, 9. We're looking at the. Are we looking at the Panthers or the Lions here? What are we looking at here?
Both.
So Panthers, Lions, Eagles, Jets, or both.
Panthers, Lions, Eagles, Old Jersey, New Jersey, Commanders, or at that time the other Washington team. Panthers and Raiders of Oakland.
Is this a quarterback or a receiver?
This is a quarterback.
Lions, Cowboys, Eagles, Skins, and Panthers.
And Oakland.
Oh, Rodney Pete, number 9, Rodney Pete.
So you remember that number though?
I did, and that's how I got it because of the number. I actually forgot he played for the Skins. Um, yeah, I completely forgot he played for the Skins, and I
So
completely forgot he played for the Raiders. But the number, yeah,
and people forget that Rodney Pete actually played before. He played between the Lions because remember he was the successor to I think Mitchell. And
yes.
he had Bernie Sanders, Barry Sanders. I'm sorry. Sorry. And he played 1 year for Dallas and then came to the Eagles.
Oh, he came to the Eagles from Dallas.
Yeah.
I thought he came to the Eagles from the Lion. I didn't know that. Okay.
Those Lions, he was what he was
Oh,
drafted by
yeah,
the
because they were. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I hate the Cowboys, but those uniforms I always thought were dope. With the stars on the shoulder, I always liked those. I always thought they were dope. I know you don't have to look at me like that, but I always thought those uniforms dope. They would never catch me in one, but I always thought those with the stars on, I thought they were pretty cool. Unfortunately, I still hated them, and I hated when they wore them, but I thought they were pretty cool. Um, take that out of there. I see. Oh, do you want a question?
Sure.
And I was looking at it earlier. I was like, I gotta get these down, and I did. Well, there we go. We got this the stack of questions, and I just randomly picked. Last week was very tough. Last week actually, it was like movies that didn't make sense, and we didn't even hear of half of the movies.
I
So
think one of the responses was like Jacques Cousteau. I'm like, who the hell's that?
yeah, exactly. Oh, you'll do well with this one. This is baseball, so I'll give you all 6 questions. Hopefully, this is one isn't one that I gave you before. Okay, here we go. For 1 point, where's the lower limit on the batter? Where is the lower limit on a batter of MLB strike zone according to the current official rules?
Bottom knee.
Bottom of the knees is correct. I would have guessed top of the knees, but yeah, you're right. Bottom of the knees. For 2 points, how many World Series championships did Tommy Lasorda win as manager of the Los Angeles Dodgers?
2.
2 is correct. You're sharp. You're sharp. 3 points. Which player hit for the cycle twice in 19 days in 2018, both times against the Cincinnati Reds? Don't fall asleep over there.
Oh.
I'll give you a hint. Want a hint?
Sure.
Played for the Brewers.
Not helpful. Was it
Star
Mustakas?
player for the Brewers.
Mustakas?
No,
Oh, Braun?
no, no. I had a feeling you were going to say him, but no, not him. He he's a I believe he's a current All Star for for the Brewers.
Why can't I think of his name? What position does he play?
I actually don't know.
Good job.
Thank you. I try. Hey, the Phillies won the World Series in '08. I don't pay as much attention.
Yeah, I don't know.
Christian Yelich.
Yelich.
Here we go. Once again, for 1 point, we have which team was playing the San Francisco Giants when an earthquake disrupted the World Series in 1989, which made me scared to death of earthquakes my entire life after seeing that. But go ahead.
Did you watch it live?
I I want to say it was on, but I was 8 years old at the time, so I probably wasn't paying attention.
Because I it was the first World Series I watched. I started. It was the Oakland A's. First off, it was in Oakland, and it was yeah, it was in San Francisco, but it was against the Oakland A's. But I
Mm-hmm.
always remember because it was Tim McCarver and Al Michaels, and I remember like they were talking and they were showing a replay from Game 2, and they showed Dave Parker almost hitting a home run, and then he's sliding into the base at second, and then all of a sudden you hear like a rattle, and then you hear Al Michaels say, "We're having an earthquake," and then it cuts.
Scary stuff.
Right, and
I'm
you could
scared.
actually you could it's actually on YouTube. You could watch the whole intro. It's eerie, man. It was eerie.
I remember what I remember from that in particular is they always show they at the time they always showed this car that was riding down the street,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it was like a double decker bridge. You know how we have 95
Yeah, yeah, and it
and the whole thing went. Oh my goodness, that it scared me. And then when we had the earthquake here, do you remember that earthquake we had here? I guess 10, 12 years ago.
I was actually my wife was in the hospital. She was in the ER and she was getting an exam. She was getting an ultrasound. And I remember sitting outside like waiting, and all I felt it felt like how somebody like jumps up and down and then you feel like the floor kind of vibrate for a little bit. That's what I felt. And then all of a sudden like the lights flicked on and off and they said everybody has to leave. We're like, for what? And then when we left out, it was at Delaware County Memorial Hospital. And when we
Wow.
walked out, like the patients were out like on gurneys, and everybody was like, "What the hell happened?" And I'm hearing like car alarms go off. I'm like, "What the hell happened?"
Yeah, that was I was actually waiting for a buddy of mine. We were actually supposed to go to the track, and I didn't really want to go, so I was trying to fall asleep. Right, so I phone call, and all of a sudden I just felt a shaking,
Mhm.
and like I've never been in an earthquake, so I don't remember. I think I wanted to yell out like earthquake, like I don't know what you're supposed to do, right? And I think the first thing I did, I got up and got in like how they tell you to get in the doorway. I got in the
Yeah.
doorway. Like I was like, I didn't know why, but I was like, I'm getting in the doorway. But yeah, it was weird to feel that. It was weird to feel that. And I always wanted to experience it, and that was just enough for me. I
Right.
don't need a big earthquake. That was just enough for me. But yeah, you're right. Oakland A's. And I was an Oakland A's fan when I was like that old Ricky
Now,
Henderson, Dave Stewart.
being an Oakland A's fan is justified.
But they were dope back then.
Well,
Fast
that
all
and
that.
where did they originate?
In Philly. Um, well, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. I'll talk to you about that. Um, for 2 points, which position is typically listed as the number six in scorekeeping? Oh, that's easy.
That would be the shortstop position.
That would be correct. All right. Now, oh, this is a good one. I think you'll get it, but this is a good one. Which year did the New York Giants and Brooklyn Dodgers both move to California?
The Dodgers moved first. I believe that was 56, and then the Giants moved in 58.
Well, you just said the same team moved twice.
I'm sorry. Shut up.
Well, you're half right according to this. You're half right. So according to this, it said both of them moved to California in 1958.
The same year?
According to this, now. it is what it is. But according to this, yeah, they moved there in the same year, 1958.
I didn't think. I thought it was. I thought they staggered it, but okay.
So there you go. I think 4 out of 6 ain't bad. I think this was
Four
pretty
out of
six.
four and a half out of six because you said I got half.
Oh, I'm giving you that one. I think whatever. I'll give you five. Whatever. 5 out of 6 ain't bad. All right. Any last words before we get out of here?
Um, treat each other well, support each other's ventures, have each other's back, and let's pray for more student loan relief.
Yeah, let's get some more of that, please. Yeah, I would really love some more student loan relief. I ain't got nothing much to say, man. We're gonna get up out of here. We talk to y'all next week on the Check Swing podcast. And make sure you follow us on social media at Check Swing PC on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, you can email us checkswingpc@gmail.com. And of course, go ahead and follow the station, the whole channel with all our shows at New Twist Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And of course, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend that we are here. And we would love for you to subscribe to our channel and enjoy all of the content that we have put out for you. With all that being said, we want to thank you for joining us on the Check Swing podcast. We're out of here. We'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.